I had a couple quick questions. I appreciate your testimony. Um, so you're here today to testify about women's sports and
I'm
protecting women's
here to
sports.
testify today about redefining sex in law and the implications it has in society at large, including in women's sports.
Okay, so beyond women's sports, you're testifying?
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
every aspect of life where sex is redefined to not recognize women as members of the female sex with sex-based needs and a life-born female with all that that encompasses is separating women from protection under the law.
Okay.
And so we cannot, women, 51% of the population cannot afford to be redefined in law as an identity.
So
Equating that cannot work for us. We are not.
could you explain to me how you think that this language would allow women or prevent women from being protected against discrimination on the basis of sex?
As soon as you equate sex to gender identity, women are no longer protected on the basis of sex.
Why not?
Because women are not an identity. We are a biological reality. We are born female. There is no sense of self. There's no way we present ourselves or way we dress. There's nothing, has nothing to do with how we feel about ourselves or what we believe in. Our entire system, our entire body has evolved around the production of ova. Every single system of our body is that. It is why we are built the way we are. It's why we have the struggles we do. It's why sex separated spaces and services are necessary for women.
Okay. And
And a
so,
male who infringes on those removes that as being recognized as sex-based needs and sex-based rights.
I'm a bit confused because I don't understand how this language would prevent women from being protected on the basis of their sex.
As soon as you say you can't discriminate or recognize, as soon as you say you have to be able to recognize someone's gender identity at the same value of sex, what you are saying is that you've got a conflict. You're going to recognize that a male is allowed, his beliefs, his sense of self is allowed to supersede or be equated to the value of the rights of a woman based on her sex. You can't, the two are inherently in conflict. So as soon as you say that I have to recognize a man as a woman in sport, in a prison, in a rape crisis center, in healthcare, in language, a woman no longer has representation and recognition as a member of the female sex.
Okay. We may have a different understanding of the law.
Would you like to explain to me what your understanding is?
Well, the sex has a number of meanings in the law. Sometimes it's biological, sometimes it's other
What other
mechanisms.
meaning?
It depends on the law. We have definitions in every law about what words mean. So I guess I'm confused about how this measure protects people against discrimination on the basis of sex. And I'm confused about how it would thereby prevent people from being prevented from being discriminated. I mean, we may have just differing understandings of how the law works in this area. I'm assuming you're not aware of the decision of, or I don't know if you are. I'm sorry, I don't mean to assume in any way, but Bostock versus Clayton
Oh, I'm
County.
well aware of Bostock, yes.
Okay, so
And that is specific to areas of employment. And it was very clear that that was specific to areas of employment. It was a narrow decision.
sure, but it had a understanding of sex that was not
No, it didn't
purely
have a different
biological, correct?
understanding. No, not sex. It was only gender identity. Sex is defined in law. Title IX was based on sex. Sex is, as we know in science, sex is based on the production of gametes. That is, it's what it is in all mammalian species. It is what it is in all species. It's mammalian species that do not ever change sex. So the definition of sex is not actually in law in any dispute. The Biden administration is trying to make it so. And this law, this rewrite would also call that into question. Women are protected on the basis of sex. As soon as you equate that to an identity, then you are no longer protecting women.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. Are you saying that you cannot protect transgender individuals against discrimination while simultaneously protecting women against discrimination?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, at least that resolves that.
In the spaces where sex is relevant.
Okay.
I disagree that so I would say anyone, I think you have to protect people's right to believe whatever they want to, but you can't protect those beliefs in law and have them supersede reality. So in other words, if someone is religious, they are entitled to believe whatever they would like to believe, but I can't mandate that everyone else support that belief or uphold that belief in law. They can be free to believe what they want to and practice what they want to. You can't mandate that everyone else adhere to their beliefs. You can't protect someone's self-expression or self-belief in law and also support objective reality.
Okay. I'm not sure that I understand exactly the distinction you're making, but I appreciate your testimony. I have one more question, which was in the sports area in particular, if people were, whether in a athletic circumstance or some other circumstance, the state were making a distinction on the basis of physical strength, speed, other physical characteristics, wouldn't they be able to make that sort of distinction without reference to sex?
No, because while it's entirely true that the best men in the world or the best in any division will beat the best women. I mean, boys beat women's world records at age 14 and 15. Thousands of boys every year run faster than the fastest women in the world. So all you're doing is you're taking two normalized distribution curves for men and women, and you're saying, I'm going to take some of the weakest men out of here and I'm going to put them against the women who are the best. You're not recognizing the unique attributes that women have and that women's skills have. You would be saying, in essence, that it's women's fault that they're not strong enough, that they're not mental, that they're just not trying hard enough. We recognize that male and female are two distinct categories because that gives women a chance to succeed, to be champions, to have full teams. As soon as the men's teams are full of men, there's no women in the men's NBA or the men's NFL because women aren't trying hard enough. It's because we're female. And if I can guarantee you that when women injected testosterone, we all of a sudden became some sort of superhuman man, that the men would be crying, this is illegal, this is drug use, get them out of here. When men have a massive advantage of 10 to 160%, depending upon the activity, when margins of victory are determined by less than 1%, less than 0.1% in many cases, you cannot grant someone that advantage and try to normalize for sex things that are part of sex: strength, speed, height, agility, reaction time, injury rate, longevity of a career, bone density, qualitative and quantitative differences in muscles. If you normalize for those things, all you're doing is normalizing for sex. You're just taking sex out of the equation. You're just telling women that they are versions of weaker men instead of telling women that they are rightfully amazing in their own development.
Okay, well, I appreciate your testimony. One last question. I take it that you would continue to object to the proposed amendment, even if it accepted the athletic arena?
100%. For locker rooms, rape crisis centers, prisons, anywhere that women are vulnerable and susceptible to men and need sex differentiated recognition.
And if it accepted sensitive areas or places in the law where people needed to take privacy or other things like that, would
Do I, what, are
remove
you
the
asking
objection?
if I have an objection to gender nonconforming individuals? Absolutely not. They're my best friends in life and who I grew up with competing in professional sport.
I'm asking about the amendment, which is what we have before us.
Yeah, so I'm trying to clarify, do I have any objection to people being, dressing, acting, behaving in any way they like? I do not, so long as it doesn't infringe upon the rights of others.
Okay. Would you have an objection to an amendment as indicated before us preventing discrimination against transgender or nonconforming individuals?
Just give me an
Putting
example
those
of
aside.
where that would be. So no, I don't think anyone should face discrimination.
Okay. That's
So
all I'm
is
asking.
that
I mean, I
okay?
think
Yeah.
we've
But I
probably
think we
exhausted the
have to,
subject.
that's fine. I think we have to be willing to recognize sex and it's where it's relevant to women. But we also like within recognizing sex, there has to be an ability to recognize individuality. Meaning you can dress, act, behave, like you can be as masculine or as feminine as you need to be, but that doesn't give you the right to obfuscate your sex when it puts women at risk.
I'm still a bit confused about how it applies to the amendment, but I appreciate your testimony.
Just equating
And
sex and gender identity doesn't work out for women. That's it.
I appreciate your testimony. The further questions from the committee? Senator Sampson.